Hi, family. I hope that you guys had a fantastic Sunday. This evening on the podcast entitled I'm My Sister's Keeper, we have Karen Valentine back in the building to continue her conversation with us regarding uh, how she kicks cancer's ass. Kick cancer's ass. Before we start, I just want to say this. Got a couple of comments in regarding um, what I'm drinking in my cup because whenever I'm live, I'm sipping on something. I am not sipping on alcoholic beverages. Some folks might,
Cheers.
if I had cheers, if I had liquor in my cup, and I do not. It's coconut water because I love coconuts. I love anything tropical. So I am sipping on my coconut water. And as I sip on my coconut water this evening, shout out to my family in Jamaica, West Indies, not Jamaica, Queens, Jamaica, the island. That's what. Shout out to everybody.
Big up, big up, big up, big up.
Shout out.
Sorry.
You always want to represent. You always want to do that. So anyway, family, this evening we have Karen Valentine back in the building, and Karen will pick up where she left off in regards to her fight with cancer. Karen, we appreciate you being on, and the floor is all yours.
Yes, yeah. Well, thank you, Carla, for a beautiful introduction and big up Jamaica. I'm originally, actually, my mother is from Jamaica and my father is from British Guyana in South America. So big up Guyana too. Anyway, the last where we left off on um, the first installment was really my diagnosis and an overview of my treatment. But now I want to go into really the um, the meat of the treatment. I had gone through how many courses of chemotherapy, as I told you, and that went really well. My oncologist, she had the plan was is that they were going to give me the chemotherapy, and the plan was for it to shrink my tumor. And actually, I have a picture on my phone that I saved for you guys because I wanted to show you my tumor. I did not let Carla know ahead of time, but this was my tumor. You could see the little shape right here, the little black spot. It looks like Snoopy, the dog, and that's what I called it. And that was approximately, if anybody knows metric, 2 centimeters wide by just under 15 millimeters in height, which made it stage two. Um, so the plan was to shrink that tumor, blast it with chemicals. And because of the type of tumor it was going to shrink. I was diagnosed with HER2 positive, the HER2 positive gene, which is a gene that basically it's driven by estrogen, and estrogen then gives off a protein, and that protein accelerates the growth of speed for the cancer cells. So that's why probably I went and had a fine mammogram in February, and then by August I was positive for cancer. Not August, actually. By October, I was positive for cancer and at stage two. And if I had just left it and not done anything about it, it would have rather rapidly gone to three and stage four pretty quickly. So that's my little tumor. So my chemotherapy treatment was very, very successful. It actually shrunk, imagine 2 centimeters, which is just underneath an inch. So the tumor was around just under an inch in height, and it was around 3/4 of an inch in width. Um, when they went back and did another scan after I'd gone through the chemotherapy, my tumor had been reduced, almost pancaked. So it was maybe like 10 millimeters, which is a little bit like around half a centimeter, I mean, a half an inch. And and it had fallen in height that it was maybe like 5 or 9 millimeters in height. So it had really flattened out and really gotten narrower. And so with that, I was scheduled for surgery to get the lumpectomy. And because the lump was smaller, the my surgeon did not have to do such an aggressive um, surgery. So she did not have to take a lot of tissue around my tumor. So that was really great. It was really great news for me because of the fact that I really did not want to have a very aggressive surgery. I was very afraid of being left really scarred up and really kind of disfigured. I They did take my sentinel node, which is a lymph node, which is approximately underneath your armpit, so it's around here. They did that because they wanted to make sure, and there was no tests to make sure that the cancer had not spread to the lymph nodes. So they had to take my nodes to make sure, because the node system in your body, basically, it takes all of the extra liquids in your body and filters it out into your body and then out through your kidneys, and then you waste it away. Where if something like a cancer gets into your lymph, the lymph system is where basically the blood flow is and all of the liquids are. So then the cancer can spread anywhere within your body. So with cancer, it really, really makes a huge difference when you catch the cancer prior to it getting to your lymph system, because the fact of lymph, that's how people, they could have breast cancer and then it somehow pops up in their kidneys, or it pops up in their liver, or it pops up in their brain. It's because the fact of, it's like a train system. The lymph, it's all over your body. And once the cancer cells have gotten into that, then it can spread very rapidly everywhere. So my surgeon had planned to take a small incision, and it's approximately an inch. It's around, I can still feel where the tenderness is after all these months. It's approximately around here, around an inch in size, and that was with taking extra ease. She did an excellent job. When they finish, and I remember the day of surgery, I was kind of joking around and I was really, really nervous, but they just assured me that everything was going to go really, really well and that I had nothing to worry about. They do tell you once, when you wake up in recovery, that basically they use this purple stuff, to glue your tissue down, to glue the tissue together. So they stitch it and then they glue it, so that, and then they tell you not to get that purple thing wet for a certain amount of days, because obviously they don't want the the incision to bust open. They don't want it to get infected. They don't want to do anything. And because the fact of my surgery was right here, where if I wore a low cut top or anything like that, I was very, 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 very cognizant of scarring. So I really made sure that if I was taking a shower, this area, I was not washing anywhere near this area of my body so that I would make sure that it didn't get wet here. Underneath my armpit, I really didn't care that much. I mean, I didn't really, not that I didn't care, but I didn't pay as much attention to that area. Um, but I did make sure that I did not wet that area. And in fact, kept it intact for around 2 to 3 weeks until it finally kind of like fluffed off and it was fine. But I really tried to, when you have that um, incision, you really want to be very, very careful because, the results, you basically make the results. If the doctor tells you no bathing, then don't do any bathing. The surgeon tells you, don't get any water on it. It's up to you to make sure that you don't put any water on it or you don't put any things that will lift off that purple thing. No moisture, no nothing, no home remedies, no nothing. Just leave it there to dry itself out. And that's what I did, and I got a really good result. I, my my scar is very flat. It looks just like a little line. It I must admit that afterwards, I didn't touch it for a very long time. I suppose I was very scared of it. I don't know if it was because the fact of you just have this cut on your chest and you just are afraid. But I didn't touch it for quite a bit, and but eventually I did, and it didn't hurt or anything like that. It should say it didn't hurt superficially like a cut. It hurt more on the inside, and it still does. It's still. I had the surgery last year at the beginning of August. It's been a year already, and it's still tender underneath my skin. That, from what I was told by my surgeon and my oncologist, that is to be expected. It is normal scar tissue. After a while, that scar tissue starts to break down, and it was harder and more of a lump for quite a while, and now it's not so much of a lump, but I can feel the tenderness there. Um, there was quite a bit of recouping, not so much, just like recouping as in because I had underneath my armpit, and also I had the scarring underneath my armpit, and then immediately I would think, if I can remember correctly, it was around 2 weeks after I went for surgery, I had to go and get fitted for a cast that they use for radiology. And what they do, they basically pour all this setting rubber stuff into this mold, and they make you lie down and they put your arms over your head, so you're kind of laying like this, and then your breasts are in that mold, and they basically make a cast for you so that when you go to radiation and radiology, every single time you go there, you lay in this cast so that they are able to mark precisely exactly the area they're treating. They don't want you to just judge it and lay in any way. They want you to be in this cast so that they precisely mark the area of your body. So they put a mark on your center of your chest. They put it up here. They put marks around so that they are able to precisely know where their the radiation treatment is going, because it is radiation treatment. They don't want it to just go anywhere. And when you do the radiation, you're basically held in this position. You're laying down, and then they have like a little meter on your chest, and they ask you to breathe in, breathe out, and then breathe in and hold it. And there is a meter on your chest, and that meter transfers information to them to know that your chest is at the right level, so that they can then shoot your body with the radiation so that it doesn't come in contact with your lungs or your heart. And every single time they do the radiation, they make sure that they make you breathe so you're at a certain level, and then they shoot the radiation at that level so that it bypasses your lungs and your heart, because it can cause damage. So I did that. They did tell me like what creams to use, because they did say that I would start to get burned. And of course, I started to use CBD creams, because I thought, well, CBD is great for everything, so I'm going to use this really great CBD cream. Unfortunately, and the CBD cream did work. It really worked really well on my, because I was really concerned, because my breast cancer scar had not completely healed. And of course, now they're shooting it with rays. So I was very concerned that it was going to mess up the healing. So I really rubbed a lot of cream on my breast, as well as on the scar, to make sure that it didn't dry out, that I didn't have any funkiness going on. But I didn't realize that when I was putting my armpits up, the radiation was actually going from here all the way down to approximately here. So I was actually getting radiation in my armpit too. So I did not put any lotion underneath my armpit, and I got severely, by the time it was, I think 28 days of straight radiation, 28 days, but no, is it 28? Maybe 21 days, but you got the weekends off. So it was like 5 days, 5 days, 5 days in 4 series, and then 1 day. And and by the end, I would say by the 4th week, I realized, oh my God, my armpits are frying. And it was already too late. So my armpits in here turned bright pink. Like I would say from here all the way down to here, I lost the skin in my armpit. It turned crispy black. It was just horrible. My oncologist had warned me that I was going to hate him 2 weeks after my my last radiation treatment, and I did. I really did. I was in such pain. Actually, I was in more pain in radiology than I had felt in the whole thing prior, in chemo, in surgery. That radiology burn was incredible. So I would just advise anybody who is going to have radiology, make sure that you really, really, really do put a lot of lotion in the area, so that like the quadrant, because I really wasn't looking at my body as a quadrant. I was looking at my body as my rib cage to my breast until like around here, but I really did not take into effect that I had my armpits up the whole time and they were getting my armpits, and it was really hard to sleep. My Just like with any burn, my skin was leaking liquid. It was just terrible. Eventually, it took around, I would say, around 3 to 4 weeks for the burns to finally like start to calm down, start to slow down. The doctor had prescribed some creams for me, a burn cream, steroid cream, a pain relieving cream, to just kind of to get it bearable, because it was really really hard to sleep um, with your armpit. Basically, you got a burn in your armpit. It's one of the most sensitive areas, and in fact, still after a year, I still have not grown any armpit hair in my armpit. But um, I was very very glad to know that when when my surgeon tested my sentinel nodes, which are the main nodes for lymph nodes in your armpits, I was told that my lymph nodes were clear of any cancer. So there was no cancer that spread to my lymph. So it really made a massive, massive difference. So even if I had had any cancer cells that had snuck in and gotten in there, the fact that um, I had the radiation, it basically blasted everything out that could have been there. Um, I still, at that time, was still going to have infusions. So I was still using my port, which was right here. Um, they were giving me a, a, a it's an estrogen blocker medicine, and they were giving it to me by IV. And that estrogen blocker, like I said before, I have HER2 positive. I have the HER2 positive gene. So the HER2 positive basically runs off your estrogen levels and creates a protein that cancer cells love. And it just basically, that protein generates cancer cells. So my oncologist had to still keep on giving me um, the the estrogen blocking IV. So I was still going in for infusions through my chest port. That went on for, let me see, I did my radiology in, um, I started in September. I think it finished maybe like the end of September. All that time I was still getting infusions, but then if I can remember correctly, I finished the infusions for the estrogen blocker because um, in January of this year, I had to have some MRIs and things like that because some of the medications can play around a little bit with your heart. And when they did an MRI of me, they noticed that my heart, they did an echocardiogram to check the beats of my heart after radiation, as well as with the estrogen blocker. And they noticed that there was a little bit of weakening in my heart. So I only had one more treatment of estrogen blocker left. And so my oncologist decided that in January we were going to stop giving me the estrogen blocker by port anymore, and I was going to start the oral treatment of estrogen blocker. And at that point, I was declared cancer free. and I was able to ring the bell and do everything. I would say for most people, most women, you really have to, when I was not very happy that I had to take the oral estrogen blocker. And I know for most women, the idea of being thrown into menopause is terrible. Is For me, it's been an awful situation because um, you number one, you start to get all the symptoms. You get the symptoms of hot flashes. You get the symptoms. You can have hair loss, which luckily I did not have that. I did have when my hair grew back a little bit thinner, but not to any major extent. You can have, and at the time when I was having the estrogen blocker by IV, I was getting this every time, which I hated it. Every time I had the estrogen blocker by port, I was having this bloated stomach, which was just ridiculous. It was like this, just, I looked like I was 8 months pregnant, and it was so annoying, and it was just horrible looking. But then afterwards, taking the oral estrogen blocker, you still have that, I want to say, that thickness in your waist. You can't, it's very hard, it's harder to lose weight um, because you don't have estrogen fueling your body to fuel um, your um, whatever fuels the weight loss. Um, you can suffer from depression also um, when you go through menopause. You have certain problems like brain fog, which I just had a second ago an episode because I can't remember a word. And in fact, the word I was trying to remember was metabolism. Um, so you have a, you do go through these things. You also go through brain fog with after chemotherapy. That is a big problem. Brain fog. You get you do have like a swelling in your face that happens, but I was able to lose that. That was with the chemotherapy. I had that with all the steroids and things. But the most stressful thing for me is the fact that not having the metabolism that I had before, it has been harder to lose weight. My oncologist did tell me that was going to be a fact of life for me, that I wouldn't be able to lose weight the same way, and it would be extremely hard for me to lose the weight that I put on when I had cancer. But if you can compare having cancer versus having weight gain, being healthy, being alive versus weight gain, I would say it's the positive. It is positive, to it's a positive thing. Um, I do take the estrogen blocker every single night. You have to take it every single day, and you are not supposed to forget any day. I have to be on it for the next 5 years. Um, that's what my oncologist says, that I'll be on it for 5 years. And she was like, yeah, I know. But the estrogen blocker, because of the fact of the HER2 positive protein, I have the potential of regaining cancer. And the HER2, that the medicine that I'm taking is blocking my body from producing that cancer that can want to kill me. So I have to take it every day to make sure that I remain healthy and that I stay alive. And not only for myself, but for my children and my family. Um, I do have some breast tissue atrophy, which after radiation, what happens, your muscles kind of shrink a little bit. It shrank in my left arm. So actually the beginning of the year when I was strong enough, I started to go to the gym. I was like, "Yay, I'm going to go to the gym." And then I realized when I was trying to do anything with, like, do a bicep curl, when it came to me pulling my left arm, I couldn't do it. I Not that I didn't want to do it, but my body couldn't do it. Then I realized that I had lost strength in my left arm. Um, that is normal. Um, I did go to physical therapy and I did go through it. But then I decided for myself to just start doing things that would make me, just using my arm every day in ways um, that would benefit me as much as possible. So I started to put my arm out and put my arm to my ear. Before I could not do that. I could not do this. Um, I couldn't, put my arms out. This arm, I couldn't swing it all the way back. I could get to around here and then it would stop. But now I can swing my arm all the way back and make a full 360. I can pull my arm, my shoulder back. It still does pull a little bit, but with using my arms and just using them, I started to do little push-ups from from the dining table or from the kitchen counter, just to strengthen my shoulder and strengthen my arms. So you can do that yourself. In regards to my breast atrophy, the breast tissue, the breast muscle, my oncologist says that what happens, that after radiation, the breast that had the radiation gets a little perkier than the other one because they're radiating, and the tissue, the muscle itself, kind of shrinks a little bit. So then it pulled my breast up. So one breast is around an inch tall, higher than the other breast, as well as the actual cup is a little bit smaller than the other breast. Visually, they look the same when I have clothes on, but when I don't have clothes on, I can see the difference. Um, and um, my oncologist did say that I should wait for around 3 to 5 years, and then I can get them both. I can get my right breast to match my left breast, because it takes a few years for the breast tissue to actually settle into where it's going to be. But it did start to feel like, wait a second, why is my breast crawling over my shoulder? Because it got so high. It feels right now like it starts here and kind of goes down from here, where this one feels around here and it goes down. This there definitely is a difference. And yeah, in 5 years I'll get um, my right breast adjusted to match my left breast, in size as well as in height and as well as in lift. Um, I think that's basically it. Carla, if we have any questions, I would love to answer some questions.
I am here, but I wanted to give you the floor because you were sharing such a the story, your truth,
Hmm. Hmm.
powerful, and we appreciate it. There's so much feedback that I got in this evening, and I've had the time to review it, right?
Uh
Because I
huh.
gave you the floor.
Right.
Mr. Green said, "Thank you so
Hello.
much. for sharing this type of content. He basically
Mm-hmm.
said that he just really didn't know, he had no idea with people who had cancer what they went through on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis. And he appreciates you sharing your personal story. So we all
Oh,
thank you
you're
for that.
welcome.
You got lots of comments regarding, how strong you are, and
Oh.
folks appreciate you feeling comfortable enough to walk us through how you kicked cancer ass. Um, Someone made a comment that being healthy and being a little um, fluffy, and that comment is
Mm-hmm.
from Jamaica. Fluffy, being a little
Mm-hmm.
fluffy is okay, but let me tell you, I remember back in the day when you used to wear your poom poom shorts. Okay,
Oh no.
hey, listen, if you have to get a bigger size, it's all good because you're still beautiful. Okay, you're still
Yeah, I
beautiful.
mean, and I mean, really, being being bigger is relative. It's relative to where you are.
Right. Because
I
being
am
healthy is
actually,
more important. Because being
yes,
healthy,
being healthy is much more important. Being me taking that medication is much more important than the scale, because of the fact that that medication will keep me alive. Because
right,
if I don't take that medication, and I would say this to any person that is out there with HER2 positive proteins and with cancer, if you do not take that medication, it will only be a matter of time before that protein builds up and cancer will return. So I really cannot say that I've kicked cancer's ass. I would say that I've kicked it out the door and I've slammed the door shut, and I'm not going to let it get back in, and I'm going to do my damn to not let it get back in. But it could get back in if I let my guard down, and these medications that are prescribed, they do have side effects. They do, like I said, big side effect. That medication, if you're on it, you're going to be put into menopause. I mean, I was in the summer here, and I was just like, one day I sat down and I was like, oh my gosh, why on earth do I feel so hot all of a sudden? Then I thought to myself, I was like, what is going on? And then I realized, I was like, oh my God, I wonder if I'm having a hot flash. Like, I didn't even really know, but I was. Now, you can have cold flashes too. I never knew that you can have cold flash as well as hot flash. Um, so, like, I think that I'm more on the cold flash side because I'm very, very, I am very sensitive to drafts.
yes.
So, I, that really bothers me more than the heat than anything else. But in the summer, it was like hot upon hot, and I was like sweating, and it was just like it was all coming down, and I was like, Lord God help me.
I
But
have I'm sorry. I have some questions regarding self
mhm,
care now. What does that look
mhm.
like? What is your self care regimen now?
I was asked the same question actually 2 days ago. I am working on it. I'm actually participating in my second breast cancer research study, and because of the fact, well, I won't say because of, but because I was in a with prior to me finding out I had cancer, there were certain situations, dynamics in my personal life that um, had stressed me out, and I really wasn't taking very good care of myself. And then once I was diagnosed with cancer, COVID came up, and so it's been it's been kind of challenging because the fact of I pretty much am like a shut in. Not I won't say I'm a shut in. I'm basically a shut in because I like being at home, but I I love like long hot baths. I love things like that. I love buying those ball things and dropping them in there, but that's really, I mean, that's just every day. But, you know, the fact that I'm now going to be a part of a research study that's going to be studying self care, and
Mhm.
they're going to be monitoring it. My first breast cancer research they study was um, for women who were my age who were had the HER2 gene, and it was basically helping you set priorities for yourself. And what were the priorities? Because a lot of times cancer kind of takes over everything, and it like throws like a wet blanket on everything, and you don't really enjoy life, and you really can't think past cancer. So that I successfully completed that, and it was very goal oriented. So I had to like um, the first meeting I'd have like every week, and the first meeting I had to set goals like I had to have one social event, one I had to have one social interaction. I had to I was having a problem with sleep. So I had to sleep all the way the night through. I had to eat on time. I had to do 30 minutes of some kind of movement because when I'm not sure if every person, but I know with me, I was very very sedentary. I was very sedentary throughout my whole cancer um, process. I was sedentary because I was just tired. I was sedentary because the fact of I didn't want to go outside in case I collapsed in the street. I and so I didn't really do a lot of things that I should have done. So now with these different programs and with me participating in research studies, I'm actually being a part, I'm learning how to, like the one that now, they have a whole thing where you have to wear a wrist monitor, a waist monitor. They're going to be doing, by video, they're going to be doing exercises, they're going to be doing weigh ins. I've got to have like somebody who's helping me, who's monitoring me doing certain things.
Oh
They
wow.
want to, and it's a 2 year program. It's a 2 year study where, because I suppose a lot of people, when they're my age, once they get cancer, it's like they don't want to do anything. It's like maybe there's a certain level of depression that runs alongside of it. So they're trying to, at UAB, Kirkland Clinic, they're trying to combat that with not only therapy so that you're talking to somebody in regards to what you're feeling, but also your self, your going into self help. That's why I said the other day, because I spoke to the therapist on Friday and she was like, "What do you do for self care?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing," you know? And so, they're trying all these different ways so that people can have a quality of life or can attain their prior life, or learn new skills to help them going forward. So that's what I'm doing. So to answer your question, I'm really not doing much in self care, but I will be soon.
Interesting. So it's almost like a support group,
Hmm.
if you will.
Hmm.
And so that way
Yes.
you're able to mingle with folks who have kind of gone through the same ordeal you have, who,
Well, you won't be mingling so much. Like with the first group, that the first research trial I was in, I was just so every week I was just having a phone call with a therapist,
oh,
and she
okay.
would
So it
go
makes
over a bunch of questions with me, and it would be 0 to 10 answers and all these different answers. But
so you guys
it did
aren't meeting with each other. They're not. You're not.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
and I don't know who any of the other participants are.
Okay. Okay.
There could be participants all over the country, all over the state. I don't know who they are.
Okay.
But what they're planning to do is that um, they what the goal is,
Hmm.
because the goal is that they want to help people that have cancer lose weight, because weight is an issue with there's a higher chance of cancer returning
Oh
with
wow.
with with higher weights, with
Really?
higher.
Wow.
Yes, uh-huh. So, with high, they're just other things that can return. Cancer can return. You can be open to diabetes. You could be open to
Right.
all these different things,
Right.
and so
That weight
and
brings
so,
about. Right.
right, that weight brings about, but
Okay.
also the fact of you can be open to so much more to cancer. So they're trying to bring down the weight of participants and to guide them in a in a monitored way to healthy eating, to healthy physical,
Right.
um, to participating, and also socializing, so that they've got them in that kind of like trifecta.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got
the
another
two
question
years.
for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Noreen is still with us, and he
Uh-huh.
wants to know, how has this affected your family life? Has anything changed? And is there a worry when it comes to any of your family members regarding what you've gone through?
For my direct family members, my children, they when I went through cancer, my children went through cancer, and it was very, very stressful for. It was extremely stressful for them. I tried my best to make it light and airy, if you can, make cancer light and airy and not such a bother. But it definitely, it was very, very stressful for my youngest child, for my middle child, for my oldest child, um, in different ways. And plus my grandsons that were living here. Um, I remember one time I had to go to the emergency room, and the look on their little eyes were just basically like, what's happening with grandma? Like, what's happening to her? Is she okay? And they were really, really scared. I had a spike in my blood pressure, um, which that's can be it was after an infusion. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah. And so my children, they are much more aware of the fact that you can survive from cancer. Um, they are much more aware of the fact of jumping on the treatment, making sure you're treated.
Hmm.
Um, I did tell my children, as well as not only my daughters, but my son, to get tested for the HER2 gene, because it be passed, can be, it's an inherited gene.
Mm.
So it probably was passed to me through the only person that I know that had cancer, which was my grandmother. Um,
That was your mother's
and
mother.
my mother's mother, yes, my
Mm.
mother's mother. So it skipped a generation, and I was the one who's had it. Even though my mother's mother, my grandmother has a number of grandchildren, I just was the one. Um, so there is, my larger family. A lot of them are very proud of me because they think that I suppose I have shared my story. Um, I think it's really important as people of color, black people, West Indian people, um, for us to share and for us to not be in a vacuum when cancer is killing our family members left and right. You know, my son, when I had just been diagnosed, my son had he came home one day and he was really upset, and he had told me that his best friend um, how his best friend's grandmother had just died from complications from cancer, that her blood pressure spiked and they weren't able to get her to the hospital fast enough and she died on the way.
Mm.
And, it's just cancer's an ugly thing, and we should treat it as that and be serious with it, and just know that having cancer does not mean you have to have a death sentence. It doesn't mean a death sentence. It just means that you have to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more cautious. I can't say I mean, as God is my witness, I am terrible with food that I eat, and um, when I go into this 2 year program, it's going to really do me a great deal of good. Um, it's unfortunate that I have to put myself um, into that regime for me to really take it very seriously. But I'm glad that I have the option, that it's there, it's out there for me.
Sounds like it's going to be fantastic. Sounds
Yes,
like it's going
yeah,
to be absolutely fantastic, and you seem excited, actually.
I am excited. The the lady when the little the little lady, she must be like in her 70s, and she calls me, God, I'm sorry if you're not in your 70s. um, but she's like, you just sound so nervous, and I just don't want to mess it up. Like, they've got like the wristband, and you can't take a shower with the wristband on, so you have to take it off. And I'm like, what if one day, like, I forget to like take it off to take a shower, but then I forget to put it back on again, and it's going to mess up the whole thing. I mean, I'm like, I mean, I'm
You're
gonna
just
have to
being
wear the
you. You're
waistband.
just
It's
being
just,
Karen. You
yeah,
just being Karen. Right. Right.
I don't want to stress out about it. But I just said to myself, well, they got a whole packet that's coming to me, and I'm just going to follow their directions. And
And have fun. Most importantly, have fun. Have
right,
fun.
right.
Listen, we appreciate you coming on this evening to share your story.
Mm-hmm.
We look forward to having you back. Karen, there's
Yes.
tons of information that has come through. Okay, let's see. Um, does she actively do some type? Do you actively do some form of charity when it comes to cancer awareness? I just got this question in.
No, I mean, I've just started really speaking out about my experience. And
You were interviewed the other day for a newspaper there.
yes,
That's what I'm
so
curious about.
I
Yeah.
was, yeah, I was interviewed for the local news
Yep.
for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So that I've done, but I haven't participated in any kind of charity or anything like that.
Is that something
Um,
that perhaps you would be interested in doing in the future?
I would. I mean, I think about my experience, and the fact that for women who are like me,
Hmm.
you know, maybe there isn't a voice for women that are like me, and and you know, like, my mother. I mean, my mom's like amazing, but like I remember when I called her and told her that that the doctors had said that I was cancer free, and my mom is extremely West Indian. So, I mean, not extremely West Indian, but just she's a Jamaican, and most Jamaicans of a certain age have a great skepticism about doctors. And I don't know if that's all Jamaicans. I just know that my mother is one of them. And I remember her saying to me, I was calling her and saying, the doctor said I'm cancer free, and she was like, well, if that's what they tell you, then I'm happy you're happy. And I was like, well, like it was upsetting, it was upsetting for me because I wanted to share with her like this great news, because I'm only going based off of what the
Right.
doctors see on the scans, what they see in my blood work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's blind faith, really. I don't know. But, I, for a person that is, of West Indian lineage, who, you know, the family would be more like to, don't take chemotherapy, don't have radiation, don't take these herbs or take this tea or I mean, do it homeopathic way. um for me, not that I negate those things, but I think when you're talking um apples to apples,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're looking at down the barrel and you're looking at cancer diagnosis, and you're looking at that, I would prefer to trust the science than to. I mean, I can trust the science and drink whatever concoction at the same time. I can do that, and it both help me. But I want to have something tangible that I can um, know. Like I showed everybody a picture of that scan of my lump. That was my lump. And, not going to a doctor doesn't give me that. I can say for certain that that was what was trying to kill me. And now that thing is no longer in my body. And so being a voice for that, maybe in the future, I will be. It's just really what's right, and really getting the word out for as many people that look like me as possible.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. We love you. It was a pleasure having
Love you
you on.
too.
We
Yes.
will have you back on again. Thank you so much
Yes.
for
Thank you.
sharing your story. There's tons and tons of comments that have come through. People are just very happy to see you again. They appreciate the fact that you are a soldier in this mission, and that you shared your story. One of the comments that
Hmm.
came through this evening was that she had no idea. Like you really walked us through your situation from start to finish. And so lots of comments regarding, just thank you for being as candid as you were. People want to reach out to you. So if you could just leave an email address for folks to reach out to you,
Hmm.
that would be very kind.
My email address is everydayisaDiamond@gmail.com.
Okay, so for those that want her email address, Karen has just left it. If you have any additional questions, thoughts,
Hmm.
comments, you can reach out to Karen. Um,
Yes.
are you, because someone just said something through about a speaking, okay, wait, let me just read it. Um, okay, so this is Barbara. Hey, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Barbara wants to have some type of cancer awareness seminar before the end of the
Hmm.
month. She wants to know if you're available, but she will need to reach
Sure.
out to you via email because I don't know what your schedule looks like for the remainder of the month. But Karen, we thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
See you
Yes.
soon. Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye. Bye bye.